Very good afternoon to all of you. You have the handout of nation and state with you? Okay, good. So let's start our discussion with the concept of state. Political science begins and ends with state. Okay. So I told you the word nation and state are totally two different things. Go through these first 8 points which are there in your handout. A quick read of these 8 points. That is nation and state.
Sir, we haven't received any handout as of yet.
I guess you can check on your portal. The PDF of that handout would have been uploaded on that.
Yes, sir, found it on the portal.
Is there now? So just go through these 8 points. So in today's discussion, even there will be new things for the GS students, those who think that they know and they have a clear understanding of this concept. There will be few new things for you also. We're going to take our discussion a bit wider on nation and state, which we did in the GS class. Okay. So if you are done with these 8 points, I hope you are able to build a bit of understanding. Yes, there's a difference in the concept of nation and state. What do you think India is? India is a nation or India is a state? Arey, wait. Is it right to say that, okay, you confidently said nation state. Is it right to say that India is a nation state? Yes. Are we a nation state? Are we a strong nation state? No. Why you are saying we are not a strong nation state? On what grounds you can say we are not a strong nation state? Because we believe in the principle of unity and diversity. That's why we are saying we are not a strong nation state. Abolo. Because we have strong regional identities. That's why we are not a strong nation state. Is the right answer to give? No. So again, the same question. We are in the process of becoming a nation state, or we have attained the objective of becoming a nation state? Then why you said suddenly that yes, we are a nation state? Why we are saying we are still in the process of becoming a nation state? Very good, because still there are so many secessionist movements going on within the country. When we are saying secessionist movement, mean demand for what? A sovereign state of their own. So till the time we have these violent secessionist movements, it will be too early to say that we have become what? A strong nation state. We are in the process of becoming what? A nation state. This process has not yet completed. It is not yet over. When we attained independence, there were so many challenges. If now you have to write one of the challenge which was there in front of the leaders of the India just after becoming or just after gaining independence, what you think was one of the major challenge? Strengthening national unity. Okay, so strengthening national unity was one of the major challenge because of the diversity. Okay, so what are the 4 elements of state? It's written: population, territory, government, sovereignty, right? Out of these four elements, which is the most important element of state? Sovereignty. Okay. The most important element is sovereignty. So when we discuss theories of state, there are theories of sovereignty. Okay. yahin par philosopher. So I'll not go into that for the timing. So these are the four elements of state, and out of these four elements, the most important element is sovereignty. Okay. And what are the elements of nation? Feeling of belongingness, language, culture. Okay. These are the elements of nation, right? So nation as a concept emerged during French Revolution. We'll make you write all this. Okay. Nation as a concept emerged in French Revolution. So it's a European concept. And it was the Europeans who established, those who can establish themselves as nation are eligible for state. Those people who can establish themselves as nation, they are eligible to become what? State. They can claim state. And this was the challenge thrown by British in front of India, that you are not what? Nation. You are a land of diverse people. You are land of nationality. So you are not eligible for what? Statehood. Who countered this challenge? Indian nationalist. And who is known as the prophet of Indian nationalism? Aurobindo Ghosh. So it was Aurobindo who said, so they were early nationalist moderates, and moderates accepted the theory of the British that India is not a nation. And we are in the process of becoming what? Nation. Countered by whom? Aurobindo. And he wrote series of articles of what? New lamps for old. Ab baat samajh mein aayi? So you need to see India in the new light. And those who can't see India as a nation, they do not have a clear clarity of India. So we were a nation, we are a nation, and we will be nation. This was the claim of whom? Indian nationalist. So we became what? State in 47. But the process of becoming what? Nation is still going on. Because till the time we have violent secessionist movements, it will be too early to claim and say that we have attained the objective of what? Becoming a nation state. But despite challenges, India has survived. We have survived as a united country. When India attained independence, the political scholars in the West, they were not very hopeful about the future of India. They were very sure that India will disintegrate. India will balkanize, considering the kind of diversity is prevailing. But somehow India has survived, and survival of India as a united country vindicates the view of whom? Aurobindo, nationalist, that despite centrifugal forces, we do have strong centripetal forces. So what are the centrifugal forces we have? What are the centrifugal forces we have? And if centrifugal will become more stronger than centripetal, what will be the outcome? Disintegration. Disintegration. So to keep, somehow we need what? To strengthen centripetal forces. To keep India what? United. What are the centripetal forces we have despite strong centrifugal forces? That is centrifugal or centripetal? Diversity of culture is centrifugal. So many culture. Bengali is totally different from whom? From Punjabis, from those who are coming from the state of Tamil Nadu. There is no cultural connect. Two people can't communicate even with each other. How they will relate that they belong to, how they will generate this feeling of belongingness? So culture is a centrifugal or centripetal force? Centrifugal. One of the dominant manifestation of the culture is language. Okay, the language we are speaking reflects what? Our culture. Culture is basically a way of life. We'll make you write everything, don't worry. So culture is a way of life, right? And diversity of culture is a centrifugal force. Caste rigidities in India, they comes under centripetal or centrifugal? Centrifugal. So despite strong centrifugal, what are the centripetal forces we have? Common language. Constitution. Our constitution is one of the centripetal. Other than that, very good. One of the strongest centripetal force in India is our national movement. Okay, it's our national movement which acts as one of the strongest centripetal force. United we fought, yes, shared history. United we fought against whom? British colonialism. Okay. So national movement is our centripetal force. ठीक? Now, that is why national identities. So nation as a concept emerged wherein West. So if you see the Western European states, you will see a lot of homogeneity, while we see, especially in India, a lot of heterogeneity and diversity. So Western European states are strong nation state, while in the third world countries, what is still going on? Process of nation building. Okay, na? So process of nation building is yet not over in third world countries because this concept of nation is a imported one. Now Pakistan as a state is emerged. It's a outcome of organic forces, or it's a imposed thing on the Indians? It's a real entity, or you think it's an artificial one? What is the criteria? What was the criteria opted for the creation of the state of Pakistan? Religion. And in more Muslims are there within India. So Pakistan as a state appears what? Artificial state. So that is why the national identities are very weak where in Pakistan. The saying goes, what is keeping Pakistan united? Not the love for Pakistan. It is the hate for India. So a country who is surviving on hate, what do you think? How longer such country can survive? There's a big question mark on what? The future of Pakistan. Okay, na? Now, an entity emerged in West Asia, that is Islamic State. Now, the leadership of this organization, they claim themselves as what? State, Islamic State. They acquire the territories of Iraq and Syria. So they fulfill first. They fulfill the criteria. One criteria of becoming a state, that is having territory. Within that territory, population was living. So they acquire the second element to become a state. They created their own hierarchy of administration, and Baghdadi claimed himself as the supreme leader of that state. So they created what? Administrative system, the government. Can we say, GS students should not answer, can we say IAS as an entity is sovereign entity? Can we say IAS as a sovereign? IAS is sovereign. Online students, what do you think? Can we say Islamic State as an entity is a sovereign entity?
No, sir.
No?
No, because its sovereignty has not been recognized by others as well.
So there's a difference what you are saying. One thing is sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Independence to take decision. So if you do not have any authority above you, then what you are? Sovereign. All terrorist groups and all terrorist organizations are what? Sovereign. Do you think they will listen to anyone? No. In fact, states, how many states we have in the world? 193. In fact, states have agreed to dilute their sovereignty when they agreed to create a supranational body like UN. If UN pass some rules, regulation, it is a accepted, not that it is expected that states should follow them. So if UN will make some regulation, states are bound to comply with those regulations or not. So states have agreed to compromise or dilute their sovereignty. But terrorist entities and terrorist groups are most sovereign. Do you think the leaders of Al-Qaeda will listen to anyone? No. So all terrorist outfits are sovereign. So IAS is a sovereign entity. So can we say IAS is a state? That is why they created their own flag also and have their own Islamic constitution, that anyone who will live within this territory have to follow what? Sharia law. So can we say IAS is a state? And here comes the difference between having sovereignty and having recognition. Now there are two Chinas. One is PRC and other is ROC. Can we say ROC, Taiwan, is a sovereign entity? ROC is sovereign, but ROC do not have recognition. So a territory, until and unless will have recognition from 2/3 members of UN, can't become what? State in the global system. So a territory to become a state in the international political system requires what? Recognition. And recognition from whom? 2/3 members of UN General Assembly. This question was there in the last year pre. Okay. So which element has become the most important element for a territory to become state? Recognition. First, you have to be sovereign, and after becoming sovereign, you need recognition. And once you have recognition from 2/3 members of UN, you become what? State. So how many states we have in the world? And how many nations we have in the world? N number of nations, because nation is a emotional, psychological concept. And that is why the saying goes, now nation, word nation is subjective. Your notion of nation can be different from someone else's notion of nation. And here becomes, this is why, because nation is a subjective concept, that is why terrorism becomes what? A subjective concept, because one man's nationalist becomes others terrorist. So Kashmiri nationalist or Kashmiri terrorist depends on what? On your notion of nation. Bodo nationalist or Bodo terrorist becomes on what? Your idea of nation. And nation is a emotional, psychological concept altogether. समझ में आई बात? ठीक? Go through these 8 points again.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, when you were explaining the Taliban example, after that, the video and audio both were lost for the online batch. So we
I
weren't
didn't said
able to
much.
hear you.
You can watch the. I didn't said much. I don't exactly remember what I said. So you can just watch the recorded one again. Might be you could have missed for few seconds. So Khalistan, in issue of Khalistan in India. It is the issue of nation or state? Statehood. Khalistani nationalists will aspire for what? State of Khalistan. Jewish nationalism led to the creation of State of Israel. So anyone who will aspire for their own sovereign state within India, you will consider them as what? Terrorists. Are they terrorists in their worldview? So it depends on whose side we are. And that is why more and more we'll discuss, more you will understand the clash and violence is between what? Two ideas. Right? On which side you are. It is not about right and wrong. It is only about what? Two rights. Whose right is more right? Who will decide this? The one who will hold gun? Then the whole world will be blind. And this was the idea of Gandhi, that we need to solve the political issues through non-violent means. We need to win through our power of argument. Okay. Go through these 8 points again. So who needs force? State. And state. So who needs force? State. Because if we are a nation, if we have feeling of oneness, feeling of belongingness, do we need any kind of force? No. Okay. So India is united because of will or because of force? I'll ask for the timing. I'll not answer. I just keep your answer with you. So we are together again. I'm asking the same. We are united because of will, because of the strong feeling of oneness, or because of force? Will, Constitution, or because of force? Because of Armed Forces Special Power Act? Both. ठीक है, लिखो. अभी आज क्लास में मिलेगा इसका आंसर. सारे आंसर्स क्लास में ही मिलेंगे. Right? Political science begins and ends with state. ठीक है ना? So I hope now you can understand. State is an objective concept. or the whole problem starts because of the subjectivity involved in the concept of nation. Okay. Political science begins and ends with state. Write in bullet points, right? Modern concept of state evolved. Modern concept of state evolved in the Treaty of Westphalia. In the Treaty of Westphalia, modern concept of state evolved in the Treaty of Westphalia, signed in 1648. So before this, there was too much of chaos and violence prevailing in Europe. Okay. And this violence was ended with the signing of this particular treaty. We do not have to dig deep into the European issues. Just you need to know modern concept of state evolved with this particular treaty, Treaty of Westphalia, signed in 1648. As this treaty established, the concept of sovereignty. Treaty establishes the concept of sovereignty. Okay. That who is sovereign? State is sovereign. There is no force and power above state. And this treaty clearly established this fact that to deal in domestic and global affairs, state is a sovereign entity. So this treaty established this concept of sovereignty. Sovereignty lies with whom? State. Before you write further, try to answer this question. In the contemporary times, foreign policies of the states are determined by what? What determines the foreign policy of the state? Welfare of the state. Very rightly you said, what determines the foreign policy of the state? National interest. बहुत अच्छे. So in bracket you can write, what determines the foreign policies of every state is their national interest. Box बना लो, एक note बना लो. What determines the foreign policy of every state is national interest. Now, national interest of every state will differ from each other. Those countries whose interest will converge, what will prevail between the two? Friendship. And if national interest will diverge, what will see? Tensions, clash. Okay, tensions, clash. So it is about the convergence and divergence of national interest. So friendship and animosity, that is tensions between the state, are the outcome of what? Their national interest. Who said national interest for the first time when I asked? Foreign policies are determined by national interest. Answer this. What do you think? National interests are objective or subjective?
Objective.
Objective. Objective means they remain same in time and space. Subjective, they keeps changing in time and space. Subjective. Objective. So you are saying it is subjective.
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 Subjective. National interests are both objective and subjective. ठीक है ना? National interests are both objective and subjective. Means national interests do change in time and space. Who dropped the nuclear bomb on Japan? US. Who is the closest ally of Japan since the end of Second World War? US. Okay. We were having tensions with US during Cold War. Cold War was over and we liberalized our economy. This brought what? Convergence of our interests with whom? US. So interests change or not? If in future we become self-sufficient in our energy needs, our interest has changed. It will going to change the way we are right now engaging with West Asia or not? So the pitch of our ties with West Asia will change or not? Because now we are what? Self-sufficient in our energy need. If in future we are able to indigenize our defense needs, it will going to change the way of our engagement with Russia and US or not? So interests do change in time and space, but few interests will not. And which interest will not? Integrity and sovereignty. This is the core interest. So you should keep in your notes, core interest will never change. And core interest is integrity and sovereignty. No state can afford to compromise on their core national interest. Okay, that is the issue of integrity, sovereignty. Other interests do change in time and space. And for the protection of their core interest, what states can do? States can do anything. They can even fight wars. States justify violence on the name of what? Integrity, sovereignty. What is present justification of Russia for its military action in Ukraine? Russia is fighting for its integrity, sovereignty, that the presence of NATO in this region can't be tolerated, and it's a direct threat for our integrity, sovereignty. And same is the justification used by the leaders of Ukraine. Kashmir issue is the issue of what? Integrity, sovereignty for India. And same is, it is the issue of integrity, sovereignty for Pakistan. Taiwan is the issue of what? Integrity, sovereignty for China. So China can justify its war on the name of what? Integrity, sovereignty. If US will increase its interference in Taiwan, China will threaten, and China will say, do not try to hurt our what? Integrity, sovereignty. So broadly, if anyone will ask you, for which kind of issues the political solution becomes very difficult between the two states, what you will say? The issues which becomes the issue of integrity and sovereignty. So for which issues having an amicable political solution is very difficult? Issues which becomes the issue of integrity and sovereignty. ठीक? And states justify war, states justify violence on the name of integrity, sovereignty. So if any violent group trying to use violence against the state of India and demand independence will be seen as a direct challenge to what? India's integrity and sovereignty. And state will justify the use of force. So state justifies use of force on the name of integrity, sovereignty. All right. So that is why I asked this question. We are united because of will or force? Answer I'll give you later. For the timing, you need to know what is the justification used by state for use of forces? Integrity, sovereignty. No challenge to integrity and sovereignty will be tolerated, and state can even justify use of force on the name of their integrity, sovereignty. ठीक है ना? States can justify anything on the name of integrity, sovereignty. And if you will challenge the integrity and sovereignty of the state, you will invite on yourself what? UPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and state will see you as what? Terrorist. ठीक? So state will never tolerate any kind of challenge on their integrity, sovereignty. It is a core national interest. ठीक? And now you know word nation is subjective. When word nation is subjective, don't you think national interest will become subjective? Yes. So your national interest can be different from some another ethnic cultural group. They can consider their interests are different from whom? The rest. ठीक? So it becomes what? The clash of nationalities. ठीक है ना? It becomes clash of nationalities. Now in continuation, right? In a particular geography, a particular race, comma, ethnicity develops, and a particular way of life and culture evolves. In a particular geography, a particular race, comma, ethnicity develops, and a particular way of life, in bracket that is culture, evolves. So you Today only I'm telling you. So later when we'll go into the deeper into the issues, you will have a better understanding. Today only you need to understand this. There are two different things. One is ethnicity and second is religion. So if we have seen violence on the name of religion, we do see violence on the name of what? Ethnicity. Right now, violence in Manipur is what? Ethnic clash between whom? Maitis and Cookies. ठीक है ना? ये ethnic clash है. A Bengali can be Muslim. A Bengali can be Hindu. A Bengali can be Christian. So, and someone coming from Tamil Nadu, a Tamil can be Muslim, Hindu, and Christian. Among a Tamil Muslim and a Bengali Muslim will have more cultural connect with whom? A Bengali Hindu or a Tamil Muslim? Bengali Hindu. So culture is a more stronger centripetal force than what? Religion. And how we express culture? Our language. So Bengalis will have a same way of life. They will wear same kind of clothing. They will near about have same kind of lifestyle. So which is a more stronger centripetal force, religion or ethnicity? Ethnicity. Okay, now Pakistan as a state created on the name of, as I said, religion. And the leadership of Pakistan has tried to create this notion as if the Muslims of whole South Asia have similar interest. In fact, the Muslims all over the world have similar interest. Is it like this? Muslims have similar political interest? No, this is the wrong notion to hold. Okay. Within Pakistan, the leadership of Pakistan is using violence against whom? Rohingyas to Myanmar mein hai. ठीक है ना? Pakistan's politics is dominated by Punjabi Muslims. Political power is in the hands of whom? Punjabi Muslims. Okay. Punjabi Muslim and Punjabis in India, they have similar what? Culture. They will speak similar language. Punjabi only have different religion, and it is the army of Pakistan who used violence against whom? Bengalis. And they were also Muslims. Who protected Bengali Muslims? India. So can leadership of Pakistan be the voice and can be the voice of the Muslims of India? No. Baluchis. Now Baluch will become what? Ethnicity. And Baluchis are facing suppression and repression where? Within Pakistan. Baluchis are not safe in Pakistan. They are Muslims. Bengalis has faced violence in Pakistan. In fact, India gave them protection. Ahmadiyas Muslims are not safe in Pakistan. Okay. Other than this, Shias has faced discrimination within Pakistan. Right? Then there are Pashtuns in Pakistan. They have faced discrimination from the state of Pakistan. So can Pakistan be the voice of the people of Kashmir? No. And this thing we will discuss when we'll elaborate and we'll discuss in detail the issue of Kashmir. Okay. So one thing is ethnicity. Second thing is religion. And ethnicity and culture is a much stronger centripetal force. You need to keep this thing in mind. Violence in the world is on two lines. One is religion and second is ethnicity. Might be few of you are aware of the civil war in Sri Lanka. That civil war was between whom? Tamils and Sinhalese. So it was a religious clash or ethnic clash? Ethnic clash. Okay, na? Humans have found different ways to hate each other. Okay, na? They have found different ways. If we'll not fight on the name of religion, then we'll fight on the name of ethnicity. If not ethnicity, we'll fight on the name of caste. If not caste, we'll fight on the name of color. Okay, na? That becomes apartheid. Okay, na? So different ways we have found to hate each other. Hanji, pucho. Near about the same thing. Okay, you don't have to discriminate between the two. A particular ethnic group will follow a specific culture. Okay? Likho. The strongest medium to express culture. The strongest medium to express culture is language. How we know that we belong from which culture? Through our language. Strongest medium to express culture is language. Third bullet point. Does ethnicity comma culture comma, religion became the basis of recognition of oneness. Became the basis of recognition of oneness or nationhood. Or nationhood. Full stop. The above idea is European in origin. ये European idea है. The above idea is European in origin. So Europeans come to this conclusion. All those who have same language, all those who have same culture, they can establish themselves as nation. And if they can establish themselves as nation, they are eligible for what? State. And on this ground, they used to reject India is not a nation. So you can't demand what? State. Rejected by Indian nationalists, especially Aurobindo. ठीक है ना? अब ये औरबिंदो में कनेक्ट करेंगे जब हम औरबिंदो घोष को पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है? Is European in origin and it is based on the idea of unity in uniformity. Based on the idea of unity in uniformity. And the idea of Indian nationalist is unity in diversity. ठीक है ना? So European idea is unity in uniformity. So you can see a lot of uniformity within the European country. Germany for German. Okay. Italy for Italian. So same kind of religion, same kind of culture. So too much of homogeneity you can see in European countries. ठीक. Full stop. This theory of nationalism. This theory of nationalism is called as theory of cultural nationalism. Underline this, important. This theory of nationalism is called as theory of cultural nationalism. Next bullet point. In India, so who accepted this idea of India, or who accepted this idea of nation in Indian context? Very good. Very good. Savarkar and Jinnah. So this idea was accepted by whom? Savarkar and Jinnah. Rejected by whom? Leaders of Indian National Congress. Okay? Because in Indian context, this idea of nation, that is cultural nationalism. That is cultural nationalism accepted by Jinnah and Savarkar. A state for Hindus, a state for Muslims. As if such states will be created, these states will be peaceful. Okay. In Indian context, this idea of nation, that is cultural nationalism, accepted by Jinnah and Savarkar. Thus, their idea of nation is based on European idea. Therefore, their idea of nation is based on European idea. Next bullet point. However, the leaders of Indian National Congress INC, Indian National Congress, supported the idea of political nationalism. Underline this. उनका cultural nationalism था. The leaders of INC supported the idea of political nationalism. That is the idea of unity in diversity. Despite being too diverse, as I said, despite so much of diversity, do you see any, or do you see strong force, do you see few forces which are keeping us united despite diversity? There are some strong centripetal forces, like one of the force is national movement. Other than this, any other force, any other similarity you see between the people of India? Despite diversity of culture. Do you see some similarity among Indians? From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, respecting elders, touching the feet of the elders, is there in almost all the cultures of India or not? Let's say you are in Europe and you are seeing someone, just by seeing that person and his or her behavior, will you able to come to the conclusion that person is from India? How?
Way of life.
You don't know that person is from which state, but still you will be able to come to this body language. Indians की कैसी होती है? क्या करते हैं ऐसे इंडियंस? कुछ तो होगा ना हमारा कॉमन थिंग्स. नमस्ते. हाँ, नमस्ते. Accepted by the world leaders during COVID. Okay, we were able to export our culture. Anything else? We have diversity of customs. We have diversity of traditions. I'm saying despite this, we do see few commonality among the Indians, which projects us as Indian. जो कहते हैं ना पक्का Indian है. What makes us पक्का Indian? शाही पनीर, दाल मखनी. Love for spices. Despite diversity of culture, in general, you can see similar kind of spices being used in all the cuisines and culture. Love for spices. Clothes.
Way of life.
ये तो हो गया है ना. So diversity है ना. Bargain. Okay, Indians do a lot of bargaining. Okay, in general, you will not see Europeans doing it, but we don't buy things without doing bargaining. It is a part of what? Our culture. Love for cricket. Cricket is one of the unitary force. Yes, we can say that. Europeans love soccer and Indians cricket. So despite diversity, you can clearly see there are a lot of things which are common and similar. Okay. Right. And they supported the idea of political nationalism. That is the idea of unity in diversity. Full stop. This idea is based on Bollywood. तो कोई नहीं देखता शुभम. Boycott Bollywood. ठीक है. This idea is based on the Indian civilizational values of. This idea is based on the Indian civilizational values of. ठीक है ना? Of pluralism and tolerance. Underline this. This idea of unity in diversity is based on the civilizational values of pluralism and tolerance.
Pluralism and
Tolerance.
okay.
Tolerance. Next bullet point. Right. Under the Treaty of Westphalia, the concept of nation was made. Concept of nation was made the unit of the state. Nation was made the unit of the state. That is, if people can establish themselves as nation, people can establish themselves as nation, then they are eligible for recognition as a state. Recognition as a state. Full stop. Next bullet point. In non-Western world, most of the states are facing the crisis of nation building. Now you need to understand this. Why, if you see, till Second World War, most of the violence in the world was prevailing because states were fighting with each other. For many years, there was no war between the state, and abruptly, Russia-Ukraine war started few years back. But violence was intact in the world, and most of the violence in the Cold War was because states were fighting with each other or intra-state violence. Most of the violence was prevailing where? In the Western world or in the Afro-Asian world? Afro-Asian world, not in the Western world. Western world became peaceful. So you can see that most of the violence in the world was prevailing because violence going on within the state. Most of the violence which is prevailing in the world is on the issue of what? Ethno-nationalism. Okay, within the state, violence is going on. Violent secessionist movements are going on where? In Western countries or in Afro-Asian countries? Why so many violent secessionist movements are going on in Afro-Asian countries? Give proper words for this particular answer. Why so much of violent secessionist movements going on in Afro-Asian states?
Ethnicity issues.
Because borders are artificial. Because borders are not organically grown. Because borders are artificially demarcated by whom? Europeans. Without taking care of what? Ethnicities into consideration. So states in third world countries are what? Artificial. Created by whom? Western powers. Okay. So these are the artificial borders, and still nation building is going on where? In third world countries. Okay, na? So these borders are artificial. State of Pakistan is artificially created by whom? British. On the name of what? Religion. Can religion be a unitary force? No, you are ready to accept. And this is the fear among the leaders of Pakistan, that India can become what again? United, Akhand Bharat. They are under the fear of the dominating ideology of what? Akhand Bharat. ठीक है ना? China wants to, by reintegrating Taiwan with mainland China, the leadership of China wants to incorrect what? Historical injustice. They claim, they believe in one China. So their aspiration is what? To reintegrate Taiwan with ROC with mainland China. And through this, they want to correct the historical injustice. Right? Partition of India. Partition of Indian subcontinent was done by whom? British. Do you think it was an injustice done by the British against Indians? You want to correct this historical injustice? How? By creating Akhand Bharat. Okay. So aspiration of Akhand Bharat, holding aspiration of Akhand Bharat is wrong. The way of life which was lived by our forefathers, we are not living the same. And it was an injustice done against us by whom? British. So if the leadership in India aspires to recreate Akhand Bharat, it's the wrong aspiration to hold? No. And that is why the saying goes, the aspiration of Akhand Bharat is not wrong. Aspiration of Hindu Rashtra is wrong. India can't be 3H. Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. So if we will try to assert Hindu identity in India, it will lead to balkanization, considering the kind of diversity we have. But aspiration of Akhand Bharat is what? Correcting historical injustice. समझाई दोनों बातों में difference. So still it is right if you say, yes, Akhand Bharat, if we aspire for Akhand Bharat, united subcontinent, it is like correcting historical injustice done against whom? People of India, irrespective of what? Religion. But aspiration of Hindu Rashtra will lead to balkanization, because it will be assertion of what? One identity on the rest. In non-Western world, most of the states, you have written this, are facing the crisis of nation building. So most of the violence which prevails in the world is right now the intra-state violence. That is violence on the name of what? Nationhood. Okay. Seen as what? Terrorism. By whom? The state. Because one man nationalist becomes others terrorist. are facing the crisis of nation building, as most of the states are the product of. Are facing the crisis of nation building, as most of the states are the product of imperialism and colonialism. Most of the states are the product of imperialism and colonialism. Thick. So here states are artificially created by imperial colonial powers, by the Westerners, without taking care of what? Ethnicities. Okay. Done with history? You are done with history in GS? No. Done with history? Not yet. Anyone who is done with history? Modern history I'm talking about. You too attended GS classes also, I guess. History, you are done with history? Not yet. Hey, you don't want to raise your hand. GS start nahi hua. Anyone coming from history background has done graduation in history? ठीक है, good. Define imperialism. What is imperialism? How you will define imperialism? Okay. Define colonialism. Is both word imperialism and colonialism hold similar meaning? Can we use these two words interchangeably? No? Means if you're saying no means these two words have two different meaning, then differentiate. Think first. Can you? You do not have to just say. First think. Do you think you know the difference between the two? Or you are going to tell me the difference by speaking itself? You know the difference between these two words? Try it. Okay. Okay. And imperialism? So it was British imperialism in India or British colonialism in India? British colonialism. It was British imperialism in India or British colonialism? Both. How? Very good. Okay. Okay. Imperialism, colonialism, and there is another word called fundamentalism. Fundamentalism. You understand the meaning of the word fundamentalist? Who is fundamentalist? Whom you can tag as fundamentalist? Too rigid on your value system, too rigid on your thought process, too rigid on some idea. Do you have some rigid idea in your life? You have built some rigid idea? Are you able to build some rigid idea which you think you will not compromise? Even if the gun will put on your temple? You think that if someone will threaten you with life, still you will not compromise on that value? Do you have such kind of value in your life or such kind of idea in your life for which you will not going to compromise even if you have to sacrifice your life? Has idea? You have such idea. I'm not going to ask what is that idea for which you are ready to give your life also. What is that sacrosanct for you? So if you have such idea, because when I asked who is fundamentalist, you said someone holding such rigid idea in their life are fundamentalist. So you are fundamentalist? No. Anyone who think that yes, I have such a rigid idea, I hold such rigid idea, but I'm not a fundamentalist. Is it possible holding such idea but not considering yourself as fundamentalist? No. So you are fundamentalist. ठीक है, imposing one's idea. No, holding idea is also the same. Now you need to understand, very rightly you said, it started as colonialism in India, British colonialism, but it ended as British imperialism. So where lies the difference? So when someone came to the court of Jahangir and acquired special trading rights, so when East India Company came and acquired special trading rights from Jahangir, it was a start of British colonialism. Economic exploitation of a territory is colonialism. Having political control over a territory is imperialism. So British colonialism turned to imperialism after the revolt of 1857. So when British Parliament, when the Queen, she became the Empress of India, it was a start of British imperialism. In Hindi of imperialism is साम्राज्यवाद. हिंदी का पेपर भी लिखना है, ठीक है ना, जिन लोगों को हिंदी लैंग्वेज चूज करनी है. सो साम्राज्यवाद. डाउन विद इंपीरियलिज्म, लॉन्ग लिव. डाउन विद इंपीरियलिज्म, लॉन्ग लिव रेवोल्यूशन. रेवोल्यूशनरी सुसाइड कर लेंगे, मर गए बेचारे. हाँ, साम्राज्यवाद मुर्दाबाद, इनकलाब जिंदाबाद. डाउन विद इंपीरियलिज्म, लॉन्ग लिव revolution. It was not down with colonialism, down with imperialism. And those who were fighting against imperialism, they consider themselves as revolutionaries. समझे? We consider like Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, you consider them as what? Terrorists or revolutionaries? Revolutionaries. But British protected them as revolutionary terrorism in India post 90s. But we consider them as revolutionaries because they were fighting against British imperialism. So war against imperialism is revolution. So colonialism to imperialism. Now British left. And for many, India took over the political control. So for them, it was the end of British imperialism and start of Indian imperialism. And war against imperialism is revolution. So Kashmiri nationalist or terrorist depends on what? Idea of nation. So for many, they are fighting against Indian imperialism, and war against imperialism is revolution. So it is their revolution. Having a political control over a territory through force is what? Imperialism. Now we are keeping a control over a territory through force or by will? What you will say? Will. You will never say force. Otherwise, you will become what? Agent of imperialism. So you are aspiring to become a civil servant or agent of Indian imperialism? Civil servant. And that is why you will say state of India is not imperial. We are democratic state. British was an imperial state. There was not a democracy in India. We are a democracy and everyone has the rights to fulfill their aspiration. And in a democratic state, the legitimate way to acquire power is ballot, not bullet. Anyone using force against the democracy becomes what? Terrorism. This is the difference between revolution and terrorism. If the people of Saudi, at present, if the people of Saudi Arabia start using violence against the monarchy of Saudi, it needs to be seen as what? Revolution. If the people of North Korea start fighting against the dictatorship of Kim Jong, it needs to be seen as what? Revolution. And you can support their movement on the name of what? Democracy. But if in a democratic state, people are using violence, it will project them as what? Terrorists. बात समझ में आ रही है? ठीक. Just a second. So, for many, the state of India is a imperial state and they are fighting against Indian imperialism. And in their worldview, their war is against Indian imperialism, and in their worldview, they are revolutionary. In Afghanistan, I'm not going to tell you details for the time being. Taliban was in power. After 9/11, US invaded Afghanistan and US forces, NATO entered into Afghanistan. they brought another kind of leadership in power, Northern Alliance. Okay. Now, Taliban as an entity wants to govern the territory through rigid Islamic laws. Okay. Someone who holds rigidity in their worldview is seen as fundamentalist. Even if you hold some views, rigid views, and you are not ready to sacrifice, you are not ready to compromise on those values, you are ready to sacrifice your life, but you will not going to compromise on those values. What you are is, someone can tell you, you are not a liberal, you are fundamentalist. But just being fundamentalist will not pose threat to the society until unless you are imposing your views on others. Now you are free to propagate your views through rational debates and discussion. So if someone wants to propagate their belief through rational debates and discussion, then what you are? Reformer. If you are using violence to impose your views on others, you become terrorist. Tick. Let's say you hold some values and you want to think that if everyone will follow these values, world will be a better place to live. And you are propagating these views through rational debates. So what you are? Reformer. Swami Vivekananda. Okay. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Right? Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar worked for widow remarriage. So propagating your views, it's not bad. But if you will impose through violent means, this makes you terrorist. So just being fundamentalist is not a challenge. Imposition of your view system on others makes you terrorist. And this is why West used to project Taliban as a threat for world peace, because they want to impose Islamic laws on the rest. So Western intervention and their justification was what? That we are fighting on the name of what? Protection of liberties. So our military intervention in Afghanistan is for the protection of liberty. Liberties of whom? The people of Afghan. But the leadership of Taliban will see this military intervention and bringing these leaders into power as what? Western imperialism. So this is what in the worldview of the leaders of Taliban, it is Western imperialism. Power was in our hand. West intervened and they have given power in the hands of few, and they are acting as their puppet, means they are serving their interest. So political intervention through force, keeping a territory under your control through force becomes what? Imperialism. There was an era of direct imperialism till Second World War. Era of direct imperialism ended, but the era of neo-imperialism started. Britain did what? Britain acquired direct control. US acquiring what? Indirect control. This becomes what? Neo-imperialism. So which country, which power has been seen as the strongest imperial power? Britain. And who has become the strongest neo-imperial power? US. So Taliban fighting against NATO in their worldview, in the worldview of the leaders of Taliban, they are fighting against what? Western imperialism. And war against imperialism is revolution. So what they are? Revolutionaries. They are doing jihad and they are mujahids. So are they mujahids or terrorists? Depends on whose side you are. Whether you will consider them as mujahids or terrorists, whether you will consider their violent struggle as terrorism or jihad, their revolution against the West, because war against imperialism is revolution. बात समझ में आई? एक second रुक जाओ. So this becomes what? Neo-imperialism. So era of imperialism ended with the end of Second World War, but the era of neo-imperialism started. ठीक? US started intervening world over. Okay? And started influencing the political affairs. Will be seen as what? Neo-imperial policies. And those who will take stand against the US, they will project themselves as what? Revolutionaries fighting against Western imperialism. Do India interface in the affairs of the countries of South Asia? Do we interfere in Nepal, Bhutan? Do we try to bring pro-Indian leaders in power here? Are we imperial? So you as a diplomat working in Nepal will be seen as what? Agent of Indian imperialism. And those who will take anti-India stand, they will project themselves as what? Nationalist. So Nepali nationalist, who will be hold anti-India sentiment, considering India as imperial. Let's say there are two parties in Bangladesh. One leadership is pro-India, other is pro-China. And elections are about to take place in Bangladesh. Do you think India will try to interfere and will try to bring pro-Indian leaders in power? This is indirect political control. This is the policy of what? Neo-imperialism. So India is seen as a new imperial power in the region, and the countries of this region try to play what? China card to counter India. So if world nation is subjective, this brings subjectivity in the topic of imperialism. And this is why the issue of terrorism is so subjective. Okay, na? There cannot be a definition of terrorism, because one man's terrorist becomes what? Others? Nationalist. So imposing your idea through force makes you what? Violent fundamentalist. Do you think the center, the government of India, is trying to impose the idea of India on many through force? This is what. So if we are trying to impose the idea of India through force, this will make us what? Violent fundamentalist. If we are trying to have a political control over territory through force, this will make us what? Imperial. Okay, na? And war against imperialism becomes revolution. So there are so many groups in India who in their worldview are fighting against Indian imperialism. And you are aspiring to join civil services. Means you believe in the state of India, that we are not imperial, we are democratic. And you are ready to fight, and you should be ready to fight for what? For the protection of the idea of India. So when I ask, do you hold some values which are very sacrosanct for you, some values for which you should be ready to sacrifice your life? Even if you are not holding such values, from now onward, at least you should say about what? National integrity and sovereignty. I am ready to give my life for the protection of what? Integrity and sovereignty. I'll not do corruption, because corruption is one of the major threats. I will respect, or I hold the value of honesty sacrosanct. So at least you need to say these things, that I'll not going to compromise on what? Integrity and sovereignty of India, no matter what. Now your idea of India can be different from someone. It can be different from someone else or not. And the clash becomes what? Clash between two ideas. हाँ जी, अब पूछो. That's what I'm saying. Rigidity in the value. One, there are liberals and there are fundamentalists. Clash will always be between whom? Liberals and fundamentalists. Liberals are open to accommodate. They are ready to embrace new values. Fundamentalist is one who will going to honor one value over other. Now, what makes you threat for the society? If you are ready to impose your value on other through force and violence. So it is always about what? Means, not goals. And here comes again and again whom? Gandhi. Okay, na? And that's make Gandhi relevant. Gandhi was relevant, Gandhi is, and Gandhi will, because already Gandhi has given the solution to the world for political issues. Because if we try to solve our political issues through force, the whole world will be blind. Likho.
Excuse me, sir.
Violent fundamentalism is terrorism. Violence of any kind will make you what? Terrorist. Until unless you are using that violence against whom? Imperial state. That violence against dictatorship and imperialism becomes what? Revolution. So now you are a revolutionary or a terrorist. It is subjective. That's what I said. If the people of Saudi start using violence against the state and the military of Saudi, you need to see them as what? Revolution. I'm sure you are aware of this, that the military of Pakistan many times took over the direct political control. You know this. This is your homework. How many times military in Pakistan through coup took over the direct political control? If today the military of Pakistan again take over the direct control, Pakistan will turn into a military dictatorship. It will become a military dictatorship. There are violent groups in Pakistan like BLA, Baluchistan Liberation Army. It is fighting for the independence of Baluchistan. From whom? Pakistan. They are Muslims. And the army of Pakistan is suppressing the rights of whom? Baluchis. So if Pakistan will become military dictatorship, their violent struggle become what? Freedom movement. Right now, Pakistan able to project BLA as terrorist outfit because Pakistan on paper project itself as a democratic state. So violence against dictatorship becomes what? Revolution. And if Pakistan will become military dictatorship and BLA fighting against military dictatorship, India will be in a position to support BLA, and that support will be seen as support to revolution, freedom movement of the people. So this much subjectivity involves in the issue of what? Nation and the nationalism. Okay? Because it is just a psychological thing. Okay? Where lies your nationality? And it's a European concept, and in Afro-Asian countries it's a imported one. Okay? Here boundaries are artificial, and that is why violent secessionist movements are going on in these countries. Okay? States will project these violent movements as terrorist movements. Types of state in global politics.
Excuse me, sir, I had a doubt.
Just a second. Types of state in global political system. So we have discussed this, that what are the four main elements of a state? Population, territory, government, and sovereign. A state having these four systems makes a state as a legal, juridical state. A territory does not have these four elements will not be seen as state, like Taiwan. So if a territory having four elements and will acquire international recognition, that territory becomes what? Legal, juridical state. So how many legal, juridical states we have in the world? 193. Even if you are a legal, juridical state, does not mean you are an actual empirical state. Somalia is a legal, juridical state. Liberia, Sudan, so many African countries. We can still consider Afghanistan also, where there is a lot of chaos, anarchy, violence prevail. Okay, civil liberties are under threat. Myanmar can also be, we can also put Myanmar here as only a legal, juridical state. While states like US, Sweden, Japan, France, Scandinavian, Western European, they are considered as actual empirical state. So two types of state. In which category you want to keep Pakistan? A legal juridical or an actual empirical? Not actual empirical. Somewhere in between, right. Types of state first, legal juridical state. A territory having all the four essential elements. All the four essential elements of state, that is population, territory, sovereignty, government, with international recognition, are called as legal juridical states. So in the world, we have 193 legal juridical states. Next bullet point. Even after being a legal juridical state, Vaishnavi, propagation of fundamentalist ideas there's nothing like fundamentalist ideas. Propagation of your ideas, or first, do not send a direct one, other will not be able to read your question. So if your question is propagation of fundamentalist idea through peaceful means, it is not about idea is idea. How you are looking forward to propagate your idea, through violent means or peaceful means? If you are propagating your idea through non-violent means, what you are? Reformist. If you are looking forward to impose your ideas through violent means, what you are? Terrorist. This is what I'm saying. Okay, na? Revivalist wants to revive the past. They believe too much in past. Reformist is one who is ready to accept that whatever was there in the past was not right, and considering the present time, we can opt for new things. A reformist, we can say that.
So the
And
fundamental
revivalism is-
value which are violent in nature can be called as revolutionary.
यार अब आपको ना दूसरे तरीके से समझाना पड़ेगा, रुको पहले इसको, जो मैंने आप ना लिटरली ले गए बात को. Holding a idea too sacrosanct is rigidity. Many times, those who hold rigidity, they are tagged as fundamentalist. We use word fundamentalism in a negative sense. I was telling you, just holding, like Gandhi was holding this idea that we should never use violence. And he was trying to convey this through non-violent means, right? Other is saying, let's say, you think that guitar is the best music instrument and you love to play guitar. You do love to see others playing guitar, but if anyone playing violin, you decide to shoot that person. ठीक है ना? You can't tolerate anyone playing any other musical instrument other than guitar. ठीक है ना? You think guitar is the best instrument, you are organizing your shows and all, and you are trying to spread this thing that everyone should play guitar. So this is not making you a threat for the society. You are free to hold whatever value you want to. Okay. In general, we hold a negative connotation with this, that if you are holding too much of rigidity in your thought process, always there are chances that you can take the path of violence to impose your views. ठीक है ना? That is why always there is a clash between whom? Liberals and fundamentalists. Liberals are those who are open to accept multiple things. ठीक है ना? Fundamentalists are those who will show a lot of rigidity, but you are free to hold rigid views in your personal life. And you think that even if you want to propagate these views, that is also not an issue. But if someone will start using violence to do the same, that will turn that individual into a threat for the society. It is something like this. मैंने GS class में बताया होगा आपको. Let's say if you are saying, I am religious. Are you religious? You are religious? You believe you are religious? Probably after studying Marx, you will change your view. Anyways, you think that you are religious. If someone is saying, I am religious, what it means? What it means that you are saying that you are religious. You believe in God. You believe in God. Chalo. And there are few who consider themselves as atheists. Atheists are those who will not believe in God. Religious will believe in one or the other set of religious practice. You might be follower of Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism, Sikhism, Buddhism. ठीक है ना? These are religion. So following one set of religious practices will make you religious. And those who are religious, they do have a belief in God. Then there are secular. Who are secular? Whom you consider secular? One who are ready to follow different set of religious practices. One who is ready to accommodate different religious belief. Those who are ready to accommodate different set of religious belief, they are being seen as secular. Then there are communal. एक इनमें in between भी होते हैं. One who do not deny God but deny religion. ऐसे भी होते हैं. They believe in God but they deny religion. That all, I don't believe in any set of religious practice, but I do believe in one supreme entity. उनको deist कहते हैं. They deny religion, but they do not deny God. Then there are communal. Who are communal? Who are communal? Those who are ready to use violence on the name of religion. Those who are ready to impose one set of religious values. They become what? Communal. Communal clashes, na? Now, can atheist, is it possible for an atheist to be a communal? Can atheist be a communal? Atheist तो God में नहीं मानता, God के नाम पे क्या लड़ेगा? Can atheist be a communal? Can atheist be communal? No. Atheist can't be communal. Atheist can't fight on the name of religion. Can deist be communal? No. Can secular be communal? No. Who can be communal? Religious. And you all are religious, you just said. So if you are only religious, are you communal? No. What will make you communal? Extreme religious. बात समझ में आई? Not all religious are communal, but who can be communal? Religious. Similarly, not all fundamentalists are terrorists, but who can be terrorist? Violent fundamentalists. Getting the thing? Now in India, this is the concept of, ये भी समझ लो, pseudo-secularism. The word coined by L.K. Advani. Now, if you are saying that I'm a hardcore Hindu, I believe in Hindu set of religious practices. This makes you what? Hindu. Someone is saying I'm a follower of Islam. This makes someone as Muslim, right? Now, in India, according to the right wing, it is expected that majority has to be secular, while minority can be religious. Religious. Majority has to be what? ध्यान से सुनो. Majority has to be secular, while minority can be religious. What is the claim of the present CM of UP? I am religious, but I am not communal. But it is expected until and unless someone from the majority religious community is not projecting their secular credential, they are being tagged as communal. बात समझ में आई? नहीं आई? सीएम कहता है यूपी का, मैं इफ्तिकार पार्टी में नहीं जाऊंगा. This will not make you what? This will not make me communal. But the notion has been created in India until and unless the majority community is not projecting their secular credentials, they are being tagged as communal. And this is, according to the right wing, is pseudo-secularism in India, where it is expected from the majority to be secular, while at the same time minority can be religious. Now, if someone is religious, does this make that individual communal? No. Following religious practices will not make you communal. But who can be communal? One who believes in religion. Similarly, holding rigid views will not make you threat. But who can be threat? One who is holding rigid views. And that is why the word fundamentalism is used in a negative sense, and no one wants to project himself or herself as fundamentalist. But the only thin line difference between a reformer and a terrorist is violence, because even reformer is trying to propagate what? Their ideas and value system. Only the path which they have chosen is of non-violence. And here comes Gandhi. Means are more important than goals. It's not about goal, it's about mean. Your goal is, final goal is power. IAS nahi, power. Naxals in India are also aspiring for power. Political leaders are aspiring for power. So goal of all is same. What is the goal of the violent terrorist groups of Kashmir? Power. Only the path which has been chosen. You have chosen the legitimate path. They have chosen the path of violence. This makes them terrorist. Okay. लिखो. I hope now it is clear. ठीक है ना? हाँ. Okay. So even if after being a legal juridical state, if state does not have strong political institutions, comma, where violent non-state actors are more powerful. Violent non-state actors are more powerful. Or where state itself threatening the life of the people even where states itself threatening the life of the people, they are being seen as quasi states. वो कैसी states हैं? Quasi states हैं. On paper ही state बनी है वो, ठीक है ना? They do not have strong political institutions. There is anarchy. Violent non-state actors are more powerful. Okay, life of the people is not at all protected. So we are considering that state as quasi state. Now write actual empirical state. Second subheading, actual empirical state. Right, states having strong political institutions, comma, having regular elections, comma, smooth transfer of power, comma, rule of law prevails. And constitution is supreme. Law prevails and constitution is supreme. Are being seen as actual empirical states. Now you have the definition in front of you. What do you think? In which category you want to keep Pakistan? Do you think the leaders of Pakistan will accept this? There is all in the state of Pakistan. There is Pakistan Civil Services also, and for sure students there also prepare for Pakistan Civil Services. And do you think the students of Pakistan Civil Services will accept this? What you are saying, that they are quasi-state? What they will believe in? They are. In which category you want to keep India? Actual empirical state. ठीक है ना? If now I'll ask you this question, that it has been more than 75 years now that the issue of Kashmir has not been solved. Where lies the political solution of Kashmir? What you will say? Where lies the political solution of Kashmir issue? What you will say now? You will have a better answer to give. You will have a better vocabulary to write. Where lies the political solution of Kashmir? On our side or on the other side of border? सीधा सीधा प्रॉब्लम दूसरी तरफ डाल दी. ठीक है भाई, अब तुम we don't have a solution. Problem lies on the other side of the border. नहीं? And this is what we'll discuss when we discuss in detail the dynamics of India, Pakistan. ठीक है ना? Much has been done from our side. nothing much has been left. What we can do, solution of this issue lies where? On the other side of the border. And where lies the solution? Political system in Pakistan. Until the time Pakistan will not be a strong democracy, Kashmir issue can't be solved. Till the time army will keep calling the shots, if it will be very difficult to solve this issue, because if Kashmir will be solved, Pakistan's army will be unemployed. ये लिखना नहीं है, ठीक है ना? Their interest lies with what? Tensions, wars, ठीक है ना? ये reality है. So till the time democracy will not be strong, it will not be possible to have a political solution. And now what you will write in exam? Till the time Pakistan will not be a strong, actual empirical state, it is not possible to have a political solution of Kashmir. तो हमने कहाँ डाल दिया solution? पाकिस्तान. अब तुम देख लो ये बनना है या नहीं बनना. अब तुम ये बनोगे ही नहीं तो कश्मीर कैसे सॉल्व करें? ठीक है, ब्रैकेट में लिखो नोट बना के. राइट, द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ सॉल्विंग द कश्मीर इशू, sorry, लिखो द probability of solving the Kashmir issue will increase if democracy will strengthen within Pakistan. Democracy will strengthen within Pakistan. Or Pakistan becoming a actual empirical state. So they are in denial mode. If you'll ask them, are you? They'll say, yes, we are. We have everything. What do you think? How come you can say we are not? But we're going to keep them where? In which category? Quasi state hai Pakistan. You can see after elections what has happened. No elected leadership has able to complete their tenure. Never we have seen the smooth transfer of powers. We have seen what? Coups in Pakistan. No coups in India. Army has always remained in barracks. ठीक है ना? Clearly reflect democracy has flourished and survived in India, but turmoil in Pakistan. So, or Pakistan becoming an actual empirical state. Right? At present, within Pakistan, there are multiple centers of power. Multiple centers of power with presence of strong, violent non-state actors. With presence of strong, violent non-state actors. Thus, Pakistan is seen more as a quasi-state. Okay? हम तो पाकिस्तान को क्वाजी स्टेट देखते हैं. हाँ जी. This is one of the biggest threats for not only India, for humanity. Pakistan, a quasi state holding nukes. A state on the verge of bankruptcy holding nukes, so they can sell their nukes also. This is not only a threat for us, this is a threat for humanity. In detail we'll discuss when we discuss the issue of NPT and CTBT. बिल्कुल valid question है ये, ठीक है ना? This aspect we will discuss, that how threatening it is not only for India, the region, but for the world community. Okay? So, thus Pakistan is seen more as a quasi state. Now, again open your handout and after those 8 points, see the tables. The states in the world system, but not having recognition from few. The territories in the world system, having recognition from few, but not from the others. So the possibility and probability of these territories becoming new states in the world. They are yet to become what? State. And they are looking forward for what? Statehood. Okay, na? Just a glance.
Excuse me, sir.
Anji.
Sir, in which category would Saudi Arabia be? Because for it
Wherever
being
you
an
want
actual...
to. Wherever you want to. This is not, UPSC will not ask you where you want to keep Saudi. Where you will keep North Korea? Where you, okay, where you want to keep China? China कैसे क्वाजी में रखोगे यार? ठीक है ना? So it is very, again, it is subjective, wherever you want to. So technically we should keep Saudi where? Saudi is not a, but democracy is not the criteria. Saudi monarchy will claim we have what? Rule of law. We are governing the state through constitution, but there are extrajudicial killings and no one can utter anything against whom? The monarch. No one can challenge their authority. So how we can say that Saudi is a strong empirical state? It is more to say it is a quasi state. All dictatorial states needs to be considered as what? Quasi states. Hanji. From 2/3 members of UN. From 2/3 members. So South has not recognized North and North has not recognized South. But because both have got recognition from 2/3 members, that is why they are states. I hope all of you have a clarity about the concept of state, and the most important element of state is sovereignty. Even if you have sovereignty, does not mean you will become a state in international system. You require a recognition. Europeans created an idea of nation, and they made a nation as a unit to become what? State. Okay, rejected by the leaders of INC. So this is the reason why there is so much of violence prevailing in the third world countries, because their borders are artificially created by imperial. ठीक है ना? हाँ जी. I don't remember as such. Just show me. It is Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. So first is the table of those states who have recognition from 2/3 members. And these are the disputed issues in the world. So leaders of North Korea and South Korea, both are adamant for one Korea. Okay. Both are adamant for one Korea. Both do not recognize each other. Then state of Palestine. It is not a state yet. It is the aspiration to create a state of Palestine. In your handout, you can write, right? The territory of Palestine. Territory of Palestine has acquired an observer status. It has acquired an observer status in year 2012. So there's a difference in between having an observer status and having the membership. If you are a member, you acquire voting right. Every member has one vote. Observer status means you can attend the sessions of General Assembly. You can have access to the UN agencies, but still you do not have a voting right. Okay. So it acquired observer status in 2012 and India supported. ये बात लिख लो, India का stand important है. We'll continue this later. And India supported the observer status for Palestine. And India supports full statehood for Palestine. India supports full statehood for Palestine. So what is the aspiration of the leaders of Palestine is to create the state of Palestine. Where? In which territory? Gaza and West Bank. ठीक है ना? So they want Israel to vacate, hand over these territories to whom? To the people of Palestine, and they should get recognition from 2/3 members of UN. And India is one of the most vocal supporter of the issue of Palestine. Okay. Next is the table of those territories who do have recognition from few UN members, but still they do not have recognition from 2/3 members. If they will acquire this recognition, they will be new state in the world, like Kosovo. So this issue of Kosovo was in the news, and we will touch this when we discuss India-Russia ties. Okay, na? So Kosovo declared independence from whom? Serbia. Serbia. Who supports this? West. Who is against this? Serbia and Russia. The demand of this independence by Kosovans will be seen by Serbs as what? Terrorism. And Serbia and Kosovans will see Serbia as imperial. So Kosovo nationalist or Kosovo terrorist depends on what? Serbian identity. That you are Serbian nationalist or not. समझ के बात? ठीक है ना? कौन terrorist है, कौन नहीं है? ठीक है ना? So if there is so much of subjectivity, how will we deal with this issue of terrorism and terror? And that's what PM Modi said in UN, that if we have not been able to have an objective definition of terrorism, how are we going to deal with the issue of terrorism? ठीक है ना? First, we need to bring objectivity in that. Next.
Excuse me, sir.
Anji.
Sir, what was the year for observer status to Palestine?
2012. Yes, so these are the territories having recognition from few UN members, not 2/3. And then there are territories who have recognition from whom? Non-UN members, means those who themselves does not have any status of their own in international political system, but they are giving recognition to them. कोई नहीं दे रहा, हम दे देते हैं, ठीक है, ठीक है. We are
Sir.
here for you. हाँ जी.
Sir, what is the criteria to become a observer status in any country?
There's nothing called criteria. We are not dealing with international law here. Okay. You do not have to go into that. Just they got the observer status. There are so many criteria on which these are being given. Okay. It's not of our concern.
Okay.
Anji. Again, UK. यार UK तो यहाँ आएगा ना, actual empirical state. फिर तो आपको कैसे यूएस में भी, वॉशिंगटन में भी क्योस हो गया था. देयर वाज नो स्मूथ ट्रांसफर ऑफ पावर लास्ट टाइम व्हेन बाइडेन एक्वायर इलेक्टोरल मेजॉरिटी. सो कैन वी कीप यूएस देयर? But there is rule of law, na, we claim. So Britain will come under the act. Britain will be seen as an actual empirical state. Okay. Done. Right. Evolution of state in Europe. No, Sudhiti. Taiwan is not a state. Okay. It's not. It's law earlier, after the end of Second World War, it was ROC who was given recognition by US, and China acquired the permanent membership in UN. So who used to represent China in UN as a permanent member? ROC. So at that time, it was the ROC who used to represent China there. Post 70s, dynamics change. We'll discuss later. ROC lost the status of being a state itself. ROC lost the permanent membership. And who replaced the ROC in UN as a permanent member? PRC. Okay, na? Like after independence, India gave recognition to communist China. India was among the first non-communist state. We opted for democracy. India was among the first non-communist state to give recognition to whom? Communist China under its neighborhood first policy. In the last class, I told you, since independence, the focus is to have good amicable ties with whom? Neighborhood. Okay? Right. Evolution of state in Europe. How this evolution has took place. So you can clearly see this evolution of state in Europe is organic, while this is being imposed in Afro-Asian countries. Okay, na? Right. Evolution of state in Europe. Heading is this. We'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Okay? Ignore. Non-existent territory hai. Okay, na? Virtually exist in the minds of the people of this region. You don't have to cram all this. Okay. That's what, na? Rule of law is there in Saudi. So Saudi leaders will claim we are a strong state. rather actual empirical. Rule of law. Main thing is rule of. If there is anarchy, chaos, you will say only legal juridical, not actual empirical. You don't have to touch anything. You are in the class. Okay, na? Whatever will be required, you can just keep it with you. Whenever, whatever will be required, I'll let you know. Okay. You don't have to read as such. Nothing. Okay, na?
I got that.
So that is why I started from the scratch. Ask your doubts if you have if you have any doubt in the lecture, and if you're writing something and not able to comprehend, that you can ask. Just read what I'm making you write in the class and try to keep the things in the mind which I'm telling you in the class. Okay, na? Other than this, you do not have to refer any other source and material. वो अभी रखो अपने पास, ठीक है? इकबाल प्लूरलिस्ट था. इकबाल ने बहुत ज्यादा रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटीज थोड़ी ना असर्ट की थी. फिर कल्चरल नेशनलिज्म में आ जाएगा वो. हाँ, बिल्कुल कहेंगे. बट हम बेसिकली जिन्ना को उसके अंदर रखते हैं, है ना? ऐसे तो और भी बहुत सारे हिंदू नेशनलिस्ट लीडर्स थे, बट हम जिन्ना और सावरकर को ही बात कर देते हैं. ठीक है ना? हाँ, ठीक है ना?
Sir, has any WhatsApp group?
He is Vatican.
Savarkar never said that we don't want Muslims in our country.
But that's what na.
We want a Muslim country.
So that again debatable hai. You will, because many will say no. The way you are saying, you will say no, sir. Savarkar's idea was also of political nationalism. But there are historians who are saying no, his idea was of cultural nationalism. So we are no one to comment because we have not read the authentic work of Savarkar. So we are saying this from the works of the historians who have worked on Savarkar. Yes, there's a difference in that. Members of UN. Hanji. For a territory to become a legal state in international system, like in after the end of Second World War, there were around 52 states in UN General Assembly. Ab kitni hai? 193. So at that time, 2/3 members of 52 gave recognition to Israel. So that's how Israel became a state.
To it as a territory only, not as a state.
Till that we'll say only as a territory, not a state. ठीक है ना? वो सिर्फ territory है, वो state in the international political system नहीं हुआ. Because even IAS, Islamic State, claim itself as what? State. But we will not see it as a state in international political system. To become a state in international political system, you need recognition. So earlier there were 4 elements, and now the 5th element has been added, that is recognition. Okay?
So can we say that a reformer is a radical individualism?
Hanji?
Can we say that a reformer is a radical individualism?
We can say that. Try not to go try not to go more deep into this. With more discussions, you will have clarity. Okay? There's a 3-dimensional discussion on that when we discuss ideologies. But in general, we can say this. It's not wrong to say. Okay, na? Reformists are going to be radical. You can't be reformist without being radical. Conservatives can't be reformist. Conservative can't be reformist.
Can we say that democracy is the hallmark to define a movement as terrorism?
We can say that.
Revolution.
Bilkul, democracy is the hallmark. There's a theory in IR which revolves around this. I'm just giving overviews right now. We have to discuss in detail all these. Okay, just an overview that why the things are so subjective. Okay, why things are so subjective to first give you this acceptance. Yes, the way you were thinking, and you were thinking, okay, that Taliban or Al-Qaeda is a terrorist outfit. There are different angles to these issues, and there are other opinions also to make you understand this. Okay?
Right now we are starting with paper 2, section B.
No, we are starting. We are starting from we are starting from paper 1, part A.
Political theory.
Obviously, we'll start from Western political scholars, but for this you need to know about state, because Aristotle will say no one can survive without state. So you need to know state, and you need to know the difference between nation and state. Okay, now that's why.
So we are having a class from Monday to Saturday or Monday to Friday?
For the time being, Monday to Friday, and with time I'll shift it for Saturday too. That should not be your concern. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We have to,
No, not at all. Just for your, it's just to make you understand, for reference, nothing else. You don't have to cram anything. China is atheist. Exactly, atheist. So they don't tolerate religion. They do not believe in God. And if anyone will try to impose the idea of God on the rest, they will have tensions with them. Communist becomes violent fundamentalist. Yes. हाँ, बन ही जाएंगे. But उनका religious से ज्यादा उनका political ideology को लेके clash है. ठीक है ना, उनका political ideology को लेके. अभी marks पढ़ेंगे फिर आ जाएगी clarity. ठीक है. ठीक है. अभी और 3-4 दिन admissions होंगे. उसके बाद फिर हम सबको ऐड कर देंगे. Online students, I'll write the number of the admin, and online students can send you the request, and you can keep adding them. So who all are admin in the group? You two. So just tell, you both can write your number here. Online student, you can send your request to these two numbers. They will add you in the group. Okay. और जो फिर आएंगे, will keep adding them. They will keep sending requests to you or to him. You just keep adding them. हाँ. बस रखना अपने पास. उसी, हाँ, याद नहीं करना. हाँ.
ऑनलाइन ऐसे डाल दें तो मान लो ये तो दिखा रहा है पर वेबसाइट पर नहीं दिखा.
हाँ, दिखा.
तो ये यहाँ पर तो शो कर रहा है एशियन की सब क्लाइंट सर्विस, पर उनकी वेबसाइट पर नहीं शो कर रहा.
किसकी? एशियन की? ऐसा कैसे नहीं पड़ा? करेगा, बिल्कुल करेगा. कोई बात नहीं, देख लेते हैं. न्यूज़पेपर्स में हमें यही अपडेट करना होता है ना. कोई बात नहीं. हाँ, ठीक है, डन. So they will not tell you on this that where all the summits of Asians took place, huh?
Yes.
What Asian, what we do? It will not be here. Okay. एक तो Wikipedia पे होगा. Council of Foreign Relations. Just a second. Yes, any doubt? Online students, any doubt? ऐसे चेक करो ना, एशियन समिट 23, एशियन समिट 22. ऐसे चेक करो ना, वाई ईयर डाल दो.
तो तुम जो भी आएगा ऊपर उसको सही मान लो.
नहीं, ये उसकी न्यूज होगी ना, हिंदू वगैरह में, एक्सप्रेस में ये न्यूज होगी ना पर्टिकुलर. ये देखो, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स है ना, पार्टिसिपेशन 20th इन एशियन समिट, 42 एशियन समिट, तो न्यूज में होगा ना उसका, है ना.
तो जब हम ईयर ऑफ एस्टैब्लिशमेंट की बात करते हैं तो इसमें जो डेट होती है और प्लेस होता है वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट है.
प्लेस समटाइम नहीं होता. ईयर ऑफ एस्टेब्लिशमेंट आजकल वैसे ऐसे फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आते नहीं, बट ब्रॉडर आइडिया होना चाहिए. इतना पता होना चाहिए एशियन अराउंड 70s हुआ था या 90s हुआ था. ब्रॉडर आइडिया होना चाहिए क्योंकि ये कोल्ड वॉर एरा में बनी थी ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ये कोल्ड वॉर के बाद बनी थी. इतना आइडिया होना चाहिए. बिम्स्टेक कब बना है, पोस्ट 90s या प्री 90s, ये फोकस होना चाहिए. सार्क नियर अबाउट किसके बना है, प्री 90s, पोस्ट 90s. So this is the idea which you need to have. Okay, इतना डिस्कशन हो जाएगा कि वो वैसे ही याद हो जाएंगे. चिंता मत करो इस बात की. हाँ, ओके, डन. Econ, nothing standard material which I'll tell you in the class. Nothing you have to read for the time being. For Western thought, you can have OP GABA. For theories also, you can have OP GABA. Even if you will not refer OP GABA for thought, it will not going to make much difference, but it is better if you will read one book. That is, if you'll keep these two books with you after the completion of every philosopher, just read GABA from that. Few people do refer Ramaswamy, but those who are coming from technical engineering background, I'll recommend you do not follow these books for the time being. Just have GABA because the language is too technical, and rely on the notes. That's why you are here.
So
These notes are more than enough.
The author is
You can
Kappa.
do not have these doubts that you need more content other than what I'll give you in the class. ठीक है ना? What the once you will reach to the level of mains, you will understand that this content itself becomes too difficult to comprehend and compile. So do not run behind content. First, focus on building understanding. ठीक है ना? Relax करो, सब content class में ही मिलेगा आपको. You do not have to refer anything.
Electing any one particular party also comes under center bitter.
One thing, anything, what?
Electing one particular party.
No, electing one particle is a challenge for democracy rather than saying it is centripetal.
Like,
Okay.
It is
Huh.
also comes under
Strong
one
regional identity, centrifugal. With regional identities holding strong national identities, centrifugal. Now we have strong regional or national. I forgot to say this thing in the class. We have strong regional or national identities. What do you think? Your identity of India is more stronger, or whichever region you comes from, that is more stronger?
stronger in this perspective.
In general, in India, we have strong regional over national, more than regional. Which other identity? Which is the strongest identity we hold in India? Caste. We live and die in our caste. Caste goes from womb till tomb. Okay, the saying goes. Caste को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं? जाति. जो कभी ना जाति, वो जाति. ठीक है? So strongest identities we hold is caste, and strong caste identities are centrifugal forces. Need is dilution of caste identities, but because the way policy of reservation has taken a wrong turn, it is strengthening caste identities and it is impacting national identities. So if we'll vote ignoring our national interest and considering our caste interest, we'll be able to make India the superpower? No. So that is why during elections, especially the elections for the center, electorate needs to think about what? National interest rather than caste. ठीक है ना? So it is centrifugal force.
But in the national movement, we didn't see in the caste, but that oneness gathered.
So national movement created oneness. So our national movement becomes one of the strongest centripetal force. Like monsoon. Most of the festivals in India are associated with what? Monsoon. It acts as centripetal force. Despite diversity of culture, as I said.
But in the national movement, nationalism got more than this caste and.
So despite diversity of culture, that is centripetal. Despite diversity of culture, we do have a bit of commonness, as I said, love for spices, respect for elders. The clothing reflects our despite diversity, clothing respect to one thing which is like sari is Indianness, associated with Indian culture. Europeans shorts are associated with European, saris are associated with Indian culture. This is what the melting pot theory of Nehru, that despite diversity, millions of people and thousands of cultures has came to India. And with time, India is like a melting pot. Despite diversity, some uniqueness has emerged, and that uniqueness is India. It's a melting pot theory of Nehru, that India is like a melting pot, where waves of people have come and they got assimilated within Indianness. And how come they were able to do so? Because of the civilizational values of pluralism and tolerance. So our idea of unity in diversity lies in our culture. Okay, lies in our civilizational value, that is pluralism and tolerance. वही आपको लिखवाया. ठीक है? We'll starting with the Western philosophers, Socrates and Plato. This is the introduction part,
Sir.
to make you understand about state.
Sir.
So I hope you are clear with the concept of nation and state. बिल्कुल clear हो गया. पहले था ये clarity. तो था ये clarity nation state की. So you were clear with the concept of nation state earlier also. So even those who are coming from PSIR background do not have the clarity. So first class, I personally feel it should be on nation and state.
Okay, so we'll be starting with WB.
Yes. हाँ जी, बोलो.
सर कौन से रेफरेंस बुक्स का सर आपने नाम बोला, वो हमने सुनाई नहीं दिया सर, एक बार फिर से
OP Gaba, Western Political Thought. And अरे मैं I'll share PDFs on the group. कितने concern हो, relax करो. I'll share the PDFs on the group. ग्रुप आप लोगों को यूं ही नहीं बनाया नाम जानने के लिए, ठीक है ना? आई एम गोइंग टू कीप शेयरिंग सो मेनी थिंग्स ऑन द ग्रुप. ठीक है? सी यू टुमारो.